Hey, it's Aaron from GameEnthus.com, and I have honestly tried recording this video an embarrassing number of times. I've recorded it and looked at it and went, I don't like the way that looks, and scrapped it. I've done that many times. But I'm here again to try one more time. Hopefully this time I can get it, I don't know, right, but better. So here I'm going to be just doing a little overview of Street Fighter using the Exceed fighting system. As you can see here, Exceed. So yeah, from level 99 games. Pull that up there so you see level 99 and or Jasco Games. I don't know. Well, I see level 99 tweeting about it and stuff. Anyway, I got this a while ago, and this is long overdue. I do enjoy the game. Life gets in the way, stuff happens, and I just didn't get a chance to put anything out for it. But with the announcement of a Shovel Knight game using the Exceed fighting system, I mean, this is a good time to do this, right? That's what I figured. So here we are. So each box comes with 4 different characters. So as you can see the characters there, and so yeah, there are a lot of characters, as you can see. And there's one that you might notice is not really a part of Street Fighter, but I had to pick this up. I'm a big Shovel Knight fan, so why not? So once you open the box up, you'll see to the side, you have a character card. So we have everybody's favorite Street Fighter character, Dan, here. So yeah, you start off on this side, and then when you do what's called exceeding, you'll flip it over. We'll get into all that later. And every character comes with a set of cards that everybody has. Like everybody has grasp and sweep and spike and things like that. But then there are character specific cards which are specific to their moves. So this is like a move, I can't talk. This is a move specific to Dan. And then you have some of his ultras. The red cards are the ultra moves. So he has some pretty interesting ultras. Dan is the man. Inside a box, meaning a box set with 4 characters, you will get 9 cards. This is your play field, essentially. And when I was at PAX East earlier this year, I was actually blessed by the creators of the game. They were demoing it, and they actually gave me a full set of everything, including this very nice mat. So you can use the 9 cards work just fine, but the mat is obviously very nice. And that's Chun-Li on it, and Ryu on it, and the gauge sections, and yeah, it's nice. How the game sort of works is, I'm gonna have, normally somebody will be sitting, one person will be sitting here, and sitting on the other side, but for the purpose of demoing this now, I'm just gonna have them both facing the same direction, just so it's easier to understand, if that makes sense. So as you can see, we have Dan versus Cammy here. And how the game really works, I'm gonna boil it down and summarize it as best I can, is you have certain actions. These are all the actions you have. So you can prepare, move, boost, change cards. Preparing means you draw a card, you draw another one. Because after all the actions, you take the action and draw a card, except for striking. Striking is when you're actually going to use moves to fight each other. So you can prepare, means you basically just draw 2 cards. Move, paying a force means discarding a card. A force is just one of your cards. You just discard it, and that will allow you to move 1 space. And you pay an extra one if you want to switch sides, meaning you want to, so if someone's here, if you want to switch sides, it will cost you extra to do that. So force is always just discarding a card, if you can spare it. Because if you don't have cards, you can't really play. So you have to be careful about running out of cards. You can change cards, meaning you spend any amount of force to draw that many cards. You have 3 cards that suck, you can discard 3 cards and draw 3 more from your draw pile. You can reshuffle once per game and form a new hand and form a new deck. Exceeding is when, you see here, Dan needs 2 gauge to exceed. This is a power that you have all the time. So all the time, your wild swings have, if they're critical, have +1 power, +1 speed. A wild swing is somebody strikes and the cards in your hand literally do not, like you can't attack with any of those cards. So you just take a wild swing, if you just take the first card on top of your draw pile and you play it. That is a wild swing. So, but anyway, when you exceed, you would spend 2 gauge. Your gauge meter builds up as you strike. So when you hit someone successfully, the cards you use that hit them will go into this meter here, this area here, your gauge. So you burn 2 gauge and then you flip the card over and you have a new ability. So because it's Dan, his aren't like the best. Give you an example of a really cool power is Sagat. So Sagat says, when you initiate a strike, you may place your attack face up. Normally when you strike, you put your cards face down and then you reveal them. Sagat, if he just has his card face up, he gains 1 speed. That is a really good ability to have. So you kind of start off with a good one. It also costs him 3 gauge to exceed, meaning you flip this card over. And when you exceed for the rest of the game. It's almost like a new version of the character that you are. All right, let's go over how the cards work. So cards kind of work in 2 ways. So the bottom portion of the card is the boost portion. The upper portion is the strike portion. So one of your actions is to boost. Boost means like you're preparing, I know there is prepare, which means to draw 2 cards. You also can only have a max of 7 cards in your hand. If you have more than 7, you have to discard. But boost is almost like you're strategizing. So boost means I would play this card and I would just say I'm boosting, and then I would put it face up. So I put it face up down like that. And what it means is the next time there's a strike, my speed is going to be +2. Speed is important because whoever has the fastest speed strikes first. Makes sense. Whoever's faster is going to hit first. That's just sort of a logical way of doing it. So you have to be cautious of that when you're striking. Like this card here, the sweep has 2 speed. So if Dan is playing this versus Cammy, and Cammy's attack has 3 speed, she would go first. Now, if your speed is tied, whoever initiated the strike would go first. It also kind of makes sense. All right, so that's sort of how the bottom part is boost. This boost also costs you no focus. There are some boosts that have a cost. So this boost costs 1 focus. So you have to discard a card from your hand in order to use this boost. That's how a boost works. And the upper portion of the card is how it works for a strike. This is the range. So right now we are 4 apart. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean 3, but you're 4 apart. So the purple portion is, well, it says it's the range. The power is how hard you're gonna hit, meaning normally when we play, so if you play starting at 15 HP, it goes up to 30 on the side. So if you're starting off, so if you have 4 power and you hit the person with 4, they would go down to 11. That just makes sense. They go from 15 to 11, all right? Just simple math. And the speed, I mentioned the speed before. Speed basically determines who strikes first. Some cards also have armor and guard. So this is taunt. It's a really powerful, devastating move, that Dan taunt. So guard basically is, your guard is how much damage you can take before you are stunned. So if someone were to hit, so if you were to get hit with a power of 6, if the person's power they're hitting you with is more than your guard, every card has a half guard. It only matters when guard is there. So if the person hits you with more power than guard, you're stunned. And being stunned means you can't respond with an attack because you're stunned. Makes sense. Armor also means how much of the attack you can absorb. So let's say somebody hit me with an 8. I mean, obviously I'd be stunned, but I would only take 7 damage because I have 1 armor. So that's sort of how you read the cards. Like I said, they work in a sort of a dual function where like the bottom yellow part is boost and the upper part is for striking. And you also have to resolve what it says. So hit means once you've hit, this happens. There's also some cards have a before and after effect as well. So this means before you read what it says. Advance 3 means you would 1, 2, 3. So advance 3 would mean, so if I were to do this move, I would advance 1, 2, 3. That's what that means. You have to resolve what the card says to do. So advance 3, so this one has before, this has before hit and after hit trigger. So some things have before, after, and once you've hit. Once you have successfully hit someone, you would put the card that you used them to hit into your gauge. You'll see that in just a moment. And the last thing is an EX move. There's also a move called the EX attack, which is if you have 2 of the exact same card, you can strike with both of them. And what that means is that it's actually on here. Little handy card. So EX means that that attack goes up in power, up in speed, up in armor, and up in guard. Well, that's pretty cool too. So this rules card really helps. So it explains what everything kind of is, which is what I just spent like 10 minutes doing. But here we are. So just a quick sample of how it might go. So the game begins, we're both at 15 health. And I have 5 cards in my hand. I took 6 by accident, and I have 5 cards in my hand. So I am 4 away. My range is now 4. So nothing I have here has a range of 4. So I have options. So I can choose to discard cards in order to move faster, in order to move in closer, or I could take a really good look at my cards and see if I have any options. This card, it has a range of 1 to 2, but you have to read your cards really carefully before advance 3. So if I were to take my turn, so let's say I would say I'm going to strike. So I put it down, and Cammy obviously is gonna have to respond. So now mind you, these will be on opposite sides of the mat. I'm just showing them here so you can see the cards a little bit better. And you reveal, and the speed determines who goes first. So Dan's has a speed of 6, Cammy's has a speed of 3. So Dan's gonna go first. So Dan says, before advance 3. If you move past the opponent during this move, this attack does not hit. That can be very, very frustrating, I'll be honest with you. So I'm gonna advance 3. So I'll come in 3. And then it says, okay, so she's gonna get hit for 3. So let's say Cammy's down here. So she's at 15. So she's gonna go down to 12. After, place a card from your hand to the top of your deck. That's interesting. Top of your draw deck. Okay, so you would do that afterwards. And then you would discard that card. Cammy says, okay, now the critical means I can play this, I can burn a gauge, meaning, actually I wouldn't discard this, excuse me. I would actually put it into the gauge. Let me just show you. So after Dan successfully hit her, actually, well, Dan's up here. I will put that card into the gauge and you build the gauge up because you can burn those. So Cammy doesn't have any gauge yet because we just started the game. But this is her cannonball move. So if I did have gauge, I could use this critical and ignore guard. If I had gauge, I could burn it and do that. I don't have any, so before advance 3. Here's the problem with this card. So advance 3 means 1, 2, 3. The issue is, it has a range of 1. So she's not gonna be able to hit. She's out of range. She's 2 away. The card says 1. Okay, I switched cards actually because I had a card that didn't illustrate things well. So for this card, this is just a basic card everybody has. There's a range of 1 to 2. I'm within a range of 1. This is Cammy. So she's gonna hit Dan for 3. So he's gonna go down to 12. says after retreat 3. So I can only go back, well, I can only go back 2. So that's the farthest I can go. It's back there. And then because she did successfully hit him, this card will go into her gauge. And then the game kind of continues on like that. I know me explaining it is kind of not the most exciting thing in the world, but the game is a lot of fun once you really get into it, because there's some pretty good cards in here. I mean, it gets down, you know, when you're down to like, you know, I don't know, 5 or less for health, and you pull out one of, you know, you pull out a crazy good move, like you burn 3 gauge on Shizo Barakin, it does 5 damage. I mean, it's really cool when you really, it's really cool when you're fighting and you're doing well, or when you block successfully, which can happen because Zangief has, everybody does have a block card, I believe. Maybe it's just Zangief. So no, Zangief just happens to be on the card, so there's a blocking card. So as you play, you'll begin to pick up the strategy of what you should play, because you'll see the range that you're in currently. You'll see, well, I'm really far apart from my opponent. You'll look at your cards and see, well, what do I have here? Do I have something that allows me to close that range in? Like cards that say before advance 3. You want to play those if you're far away, because it gets you close enough to strike. But there will be times when you don't have anything and you'll play something thinking, oh, this is going to get them, because you're looking at the power or the speed, meaning you'll attack first and then you don't. But I mean, typically a game takes about, I don't know, maybe 10 to 15 minutes once you really get it rolling, but it's quite fun. And every character is really different. Every character has their own sort of advantages, disadvantages, but everybody's health is the same. But some people's attacks do a little bit more. Like I really like Shovel Knight's cards, I guess because for one reason I really like Shovel Knight. Not that I don't like the Street Fighter characters, but Shovel Knights have a little bit of a different artistic vibe going for them. But there's some good ones, like this one here called Mobile Gears. You can see the range is the whole board is the range. Because if you think about when Shovel Knight is on that, you can go anywhere. Not the most powerful, it's kind of fast, but it's pretty cool. So there's Shovel Knight's actual card, and then when he exceeds, he's golden. So level 99 is creating an entire Exceed game just for Shovel Knight. So I'm excited about that. I think I'm gonna get a chance to play it at PAX Unplugged. But I definitely do dig Street Fighter Exceed. I think it's gonna be coming to more retail places pretty soon. It's a very fun game. I apologize that me explaining it wasn't the most riveting thing ever, but there was really a lot of back and forth. It's just, I'm explaining it, so I'm also playing by myself. So a little harder to explain, but that's how the game works. You know, you want to get in close, strike, and get out of there if at all possible. So I've had a really good time with this game. I show the kids how to play, and they picked up on it really quickly, and they've won a couple of times. My 13-year-old hit me with a couple of Exceed moves, and EX moves, and I was devastated. So, like I said, I'm new to doing these videos for board and card games, so please, be patient with me. I will try to cut it down, have a little bit shorter, a little bit tighter next time. But I'm trying to do something a little bit different, and this is one of my, well, it's my first attempt that I'm putting out there, but I've attempted this many times. Believe it or not, this one has gone over the best. Yeah, so Street Fighter Exceed. So there you go. Yes. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below. Have you played the Exceed fighting system? Because they did start off with their own IP, and then they branched out and were able to get the the Capcom license for a lot of these characters. And like I said, Shovel Knight's coming out. It's a really cool system, and you really can't mix it up so it doesn't seem repetitive. Even though every character does have, the block and sweep and focus and all that stuff, it playing definitely feels different because you have so many tools at your disposal. Should you be in the range to use them, but there's a lot you can do. There's a lot of actions you can take here. So boosting means you're just planning. You're just planning to what you're gonna do. So if you think that a card you have, the speed is too slow, but the power is really nice, you want to make sure you can hit first. then you should probably play a boost that's going to let you, you don't want to hit just yet, but you can play a boost that maybe boosts up your speed or puts them at a disadvantage. So you want to plan out. And the fact that each card has a dual function is kind of cool too. It really is two separate cards. When you're playing the boost, you're not worrying about that, and then vice versa. So it's pretty cool. I've rambled on enough. That's going to do it for me. Thank you for watching. Take care and be blessed.